I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, October the 8th, brought to you in part by Vitalix. Vitalix is an American family-owned company that specializes in livestock feed tubs to meet your every need. Get the blue tub, go to Vitalix.com. First of all, I'm going to apologize to everybody for being out of uniform on this episode of the Feeder Flash, so I'm going to be forced to give Trent Stewart some free advertisement here with this cap that I stole when I was up there here a couple weeks ago at Central Oregon Livestock Auction, and I just don't feel comfortable being bareheaded, even though I do have great hair, and it's one of the few attributes physically that I have left while I'm pushing 50, but well, again, kind of reminds me of an interview that I saw with Richard Petty one time, and they asked him why he wore the cowboy hat, and he said that way he didn't have to worry about which cap he was wearing whenever people took pictures of him. But get on with the report. The House Ag Committee hearing was held on Thursday, and it was a long one, and they had a lot of witnesses there. I was not able to watch the whole thing, and just on the road, as you can see, as I'm traveling down to South Texas, to Robstown, Texas, which is a hell of a long ways from the Amarillo area where I reside, and you have to remember to slow down when you get down there. You'll drive off into the ocean. But going down there for the South Texas Beefmaster sale on Saturday. But the House Ag Committee hearing was held on Thursday, and we had one champion, which Chuck Grassley. He's been a champion for trying to get things fixed. He's got constituents there with Iowa Cattlemen's Association. He's got a close relationship with them. He's been trying to get some competition back in the cattle industry, especially our fed cattle, commercial cattle industry, and he's been pushing on there. He's a senator, but was on there talking. They had several people on there that were talking against it, including the famous North American Meat Institute, which I told you on our last visit is just a trade association that works for your meat and poultry mafia. And they had other people that agreed with them on there, and just like they bought off some of our big universities that we think are for the agriculture people. But they talked about the need to vertically integrate. Can't believe that they say that out loud, but they say that we have a need for vertical integration. It's taking us over, and it's driving our small producers out of business every day, and we just have fewer players every single day because of vertical integration. But they think we need even more of it. But at the conclusion of the hearing, the chairman there, Representative David Scott from Georgia, he had several statements after the hearing, and I'm going to give you part of one, which lets me know that they did do some good, and we could have reason to believe that we could get something done about this. But Representative David Scott said after, in a statement, that two of the themes that were the focus of the hearing were the need to improve price discovery and how essential it is for us to look more closely at how we can incentivize competition and capacity in our processing sector. So that lets me know that at least the chairman there was listening and has the right idea of what we need to do. Some of the main things in that statement he said included price discovery and incentivizing competition and capacity. So that's a good thing. So we think at the conclusion of that hearing, it was good. It wasn't as good as the Senate Ag Committee hearings that we had there a few months ago, but still working in the right direction. I do believe we're going to get something mandated as far as a minimum negotiated cash trade. I do believe we're going to get something in truth of labeling here before too long, because it's supported by your White House administration. And so we've got to strike while the iron's hot and while we have the opportunity to do that. But, they're wanting to blame a lot of this inflation that is the result of them trying to undo everything that Trump did while he was in there for 4 years. This inflation that is costing everybody so much, a lot of it in the household is due to groceries and a lot of that is due to your meat prices. Now the meat prices are so high because the big four packers are gouging everybody while they're not sharing any of that with the producers. You and I both know that, but if they're wanting to use the inflation in people's households and blame it on meat prices, and they're wanting to show that they're trying to do something about that, let's take advantage of it and let's get something done. Let's look at your board on Thursday. It continued to go up, and I tell you what, one of the few times that I was correct, I told you at the very beginning of the week, before we even had any futures this week, that I'd heard from a lot of your commodity people that we were technically oversold, and that all directions pointed straight up, and this futures market in the cattle has done nothing but go straight up, and it hasn't bled over into many of our other commodities, but the cattle have been able to take advantage of that through technical reasons, not fundamental. Our fundamentals are strong, but the people that play heavily in your futures market don't pay any attention to the fundamentals for the most part. It's all the technicals, which is the squiggly lines and the math that goes into the changes every day. But let's ride with it. October live cattle futures on Thursday settled up $1.45 at 125.27. December was up $1.87 at 130.10. Your biggest gains were on the front end, and then they kind of lessened as we went on your back months. Same thing on the feeder cattle, but on your back months of live cattle, they were up 47 cents to up $1.47. So good gains again on Thursday. Been up all week. October feeder cattle were up $3.55 at 160.35. Our real-time index is running just a little bit below your CME cash feeder cattle index, and they are in the 152, 153 range, and our spot October feeder cattle are now over 160. And I tell you what, it has really energized your cash feeder cattle market, even though we've just about run out of yearlings. November feeder cattle up $3.47 at 161.60, so we're seeing a premium now out front there. But on your back months of feeder cattle, again, they were big gains were on the more nearby, but up $1.50 to up 247. But we haven't seen open interest rise much. Our open interest got really low after the big sell-off of the last month and a half. And even though we've seen the big gains, we haven't seen open interest go up much at all. Your fat cattle trade, and we had a little bit more fat cattle trade this week. We had a fairly active, for these days and times, trade, negotiated cash trade last week, and this week has been decent. Not as heavy so far, but been decent. But your confirmed trades on Thursday, Iowa had 1,100 head, 14,300 head for the week. Live sales in Iowa cash 121 to 122, 193 to 197. So we hadn't seen the 197 yet until Thursday, confirmed in the northern plains, but that's good and still mostly steady, but you could call it steady firm. Nebraska had about 1,100 head also confirmed on Thursday, 30,600 head for the week. The only sales they had confirmed on Thursday were live at 122. Kansas about 600 head, 15,100 head for the week, and all their sales were at 124, which the Southern Plains has been mostly 124 this week. And you think, gosh, if these packers are really needing top quality carcasses, why is the Southern Plains trading at a $2 premium to the Northern Plains? Texas, just over 100 head there on Thursday, confirmed at 124, and 6,500 head so far for the week. Box beef cutout values were kind of mixed. Choice cuts 285.30. They continue to get back into a reasonable price range. Not reasonable for all they're wanting to pay for fat cattle, but the gouging has kind of started to tail off a little bit from the big surge that we saw there back through the summer. But 285.30 on Thursday afternoon, that was down $1.32. Selects up 153 at 264.44. Your slaughter so far this week, we haven't seen any shutdowns, haven't seen any mechanical failures, we haven't seen any cooler cleaning for the most part. They've been mostly running, maybe not full speed. We know they've got another notch or two on there, but running pretty well wide open, and we're expecting a decent Saturday, so this will be one of our biggest weeks we've seen for a while. But slaughter so far this week through Thursday, 483,000. That's 10,000 more than last week, 11,000 more than the same week a year ago. Actual slaughter data information come out for the week ending September the 25th showed your actual, or your average of your dressed steer carcass weights at 914 pounds, up 2 pounds from the last report, but down 7 pounds from a year ago. Let's talk about what else is going on. We got to brag on DV Auction a little bit. They're the ones that pay the bills on all this stuff. My employer here. And when we get into this time of year, when we start seeing more production sales, and then we'll do it again, especially in the spring when we start seeing all the spring bull sales. But DV Auction production sale report for September showed that on our production sales, total bids were 11,500 bids that come through DV Auction console on your online broadcasting. Lots sold were over 1,400 lots that were sold online through DV Auction, and total purchases around $4.8 million. If you guys are having a production sale, you need to get DV Auction there. There's some that spend a lot more on advertising. Some of them have fancier giveaways, like this fancy cap that I stole from Trent Stewart. But you know, as far as having the buyer base and the experience, nobody's got more than DV Auction. Also, as we move into this part of the month here, we always like to reward one particular auction sale, because you guys know that I'm big on promoting the auction method of selling livestock. And so we have the Tran Market of the Month, and the Tran Market of the Month this month is Edina Livestock Sales in Edina, Missouri. That's in northeast Missouri in Knox County. It's not a big high volume sale, but it's a cool sale right there. The building was originally an 1800s wagon factory, and they have turned that into a under roof sale there. But really a cool place to go there, and sits in kind of an integral part of the Midwest. It's in northeast Missouri, but it's 40 miles from Iowa, 50 miles from Illinois, and they have had some of the top sales every Friday that we've seen, and I've quoted them several times on our high quotes, and we want to give them a little bit of recognition there. Kevin Strange, the owner there, and runs the outfit, but you can watch that sale on DV Auction every Friday, and it's your Tran Market of the Month. They're going to get some free swag from Tran and a sign that indicates they were the Market of the Month. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DV Auction late in the day on Thursday sitting at 152.88. That was up another $1.08, and I told you we really got a shot in the arm on our feeder cattle cash markets and our auctions late this week because the board's been so strong. Let's look at some of your big sales, and I always quote the sales that routinely have a good tested market. When I talk about your sale barns, they're not the biggest, but they're the ones that you can rely on to have a market trend. Winter Livestock in Pratt, Kansas. Pratt Livestock there, 1,600 head there. Feeders were steady to $2 higher, and had a good sale. And if you listen to Steve's report there on YouTube or on Facebook, I listened to that, and he made mention that we're just kind of doing the cleanup yearlings now. The premier deals of yearlings were sold back in the late summer and earlier in the fall, but so we're not seeing the best deals, but we're seeing some top prices on them because we're starting to get so many calves, and these feedlots don't want to buy a big fat calf to put on feed. He's not going to have the compensatory gain. He's not going to go to the feed and not going to grow and have the cheaper cost of gains like a true yearling will, but there's not that many yearlings left, so your buyers are sopping them up. But stick out sale in Pratt, 52 head, 885 pound steers, bring $158 in Pratt, Kansas on Thursday. Another market straight north of there, Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas, also had about 1,600 head there. The feeder cattle, steers and heifers weighing over 700 pounds, steady to $3 higher and spots 5 higher on some yearling heifers there. Stickout sale in Salina, Kansas on Thursday, 121 head, 810 pound steers bring 160.10. Let's talk about some other markets around the circuit. How about Stockman's Livestock Exchange, the East Barn in Dickinson, North Dakota. I tell you what, we've been getting quotes out of them for quite some time now. Really impresses me how far north they are and how good they can sell their cattle. They sold 91 head of 600 pound steer calves on Thursday at $174.85. Wow. How about the best calf market that we saw late in the week? Belle Fourche Livestock Market. That's Baxter Andrews there, and also owns Phillip there too, but had 5,000 head in Belle Fourche on Thursday. And I mean, the calf deal just really took off with the help from the board and everything. You know, they've had a lot of those lighter calves up in that northern plains area where it's been so dry, having lots of way up cows, and they're whittling on that herd up there. And I talked to Baxter late this past week or this week, and he's really concerned. He's hoping that the producers stay in that area and then he'll have calves to sell again next year, because you know, the drought in this area and just the economics of the industry has really been hard on your ranchers in that part of the country. But look at this automated market report out of Belle Fourche. That's through Cattle Market Central with DV Auction. Shows all their sales. You see they were heavy on your lighter weight calves, which you would expect. They don't have any yearlings left up there. But let's look at your best tested weights. 1,186 head of 4-weight steer calves, average 458, with a weighted average steer price there on 4 weights at $202.43. That was $13 higher than last week's sale, which they had a big swath of them in there too. So that's how much shot in the arm these lightweight calves have gotten with the help of the board this week. 1,249 head of 5-weight steers at Bell, average 542 with a weighted average price of $178.25. That was $5 to $6 higher. And I want to tell you guys, we really haven't seen anybody eclipse $2 a pound on a 500 pound steer. That's a big threshold there, and we haven't seen anybody eclipse it on a big drag of cattle. But they did have a couple of stick out deals on steer calves at Bell. They had 120 head of 479 pound steers at $202.50. We're getting close, guys. They had another 113 head of 491 pound steers. That's scaring the hell out of 500 pounds at $199. We're getting close, and I think it will happen either here on Friday or early this next week as we go forward, if we continue to see support from the board. Look at some of your heifer calves. 733 head of your 4-weight heifer calves, average 452 at $170.19 on your weighted average price. That was $7 to $8 higher than last week. And then 550 head of your 5-weight heifer calves, average 532 at $161.42 on your weighted average price for 5-weight heifers. That was about $9 higher. Your best yearling sale, which you could flag a car down about anywhere and sell a load of yearlings if you could find some true yearlings. But how about Ogallala Livestock Auction? Ogallala, Nebraska, had 2,400 head there, and they called those yearling feeders there as much as $6 higher than the last sale. Look at this automated market report from Ogallala, and their heaviest runs were on the heavier weight cattle. 619 head of 8-weight yearling feeder steers in Ogallala averaged 852 at $163.26. Wow, that's about $14 higher than what your index level is on steers that averaged well over 800 pounds. That's how much higher they were there. They got the quality there too. They got the buyers, and all of them want a yearling. How about in your 9 weights? 539 head of 9-weight yearling feeder steers in Ogallala, Nebraska, averaged 942 at $158.75. But the best quote that I saw anywhere also come out of Ogallala, and it was also on yearling feeder steers. And your Zach Tran top quote for the day was 62 head, I mean a big load, of 1,000 on the dime yearling feeder steers, bring $161. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but that's just about $1,610 per head. If you look at what fat cattle are bringing now at current prices, say on a finished 1,400 pound slaughter steer, you've got about $100 there to get them there, 400 pounds. That's your feeder flash for Friday.